Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Altcoin Mentors YouTube channel. My name is Peter, and today I'm going to be doing the technical analysis for Bitcoin, Ether, EOS, and I've added 4 new altcoins: Monero, Icon, Enigma, and 0x. Our main goal here at Altcoin Mentors is to help as many people as possible achieve their goal of financial freedom. And we believe trading cryptocurrencies is an opportunity of a lifetime. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of where these coins are going in the near-term and long-term future. If you like our videos, please follow us on Twitter and on Telegram. We have a model portfolio, so you can view our positions and progress. If you'd like to be notified of our latest videos, please hit the bell button. All right. So let's start off with Bitcoin on a weekly chart. So Bitcoin on a weekly chart looks a little bit weak. In this little cycle here, we had a uptrend, a short uptrend, and we thought it might go do this, go to the upside. But conversely, this pattern here looks like it might be this pattern right over here. So we have to be very careful of it because now we have lower lows on a weekly basis. But as I said before, 6,600, right? This little green line here is a very important line, very important support. So this was where we were before. That's also the bottom of the first blue candle, the signal candle. So if it goes below, then we could be in trouble and headed down to 6,000 and then 4,400 to the downside. On the dailies, though, it looks a little bit better. So as you can see here, we're at close to major resistance. It was support, now it's major resistance around 7,700. We have 2 daily up bars with higher highs, which is very good. It's a very good sign, but it could be a repeat of what happened over here. So until it goes a little bit higher and breaks above 7,800, and if it does, then I think it can go higher to about 8,400. So the unfortunate part here is that the death cross, the 50 and the 200 crossed again to the downside. So this could be a very dangerous spot for Bitcoin. So look at this on a swing trade. So this is what I was talking about. So as it's going lower, it's making lower lows, right? So you see the waves, right? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And so here we have a lower low, making a little high, but now here we might possibly have a higher low. So we have to be a little bit careful of this higher low though, because is it really a low, right? Is it really a wave, right? So that's what we're going to find out, but it has to cross over to 7,700. And then in my opinion, it can probably go up to about 8,400 would be my first target. So if you get in early, you don't want to try to make too much money. You don't want to be greedy. So we talked about this in our recent video about scaling in and scaling out. So if it goes to 7,700, if it passes 7,700, 7,800, then you can start scaling in on a smaller amount. And then your first target will be like 8,400. If it goes past 8,400, then you can scale in a little bit more and then go higher. And then maybe around 9,000, 9,100, and then 9,400, and then back up to the top. This way, if it goes back up to the top of that 10,000 where it was before, then you could actually make a decent amount of money. So you want to be a little bit more careful as we're in the bottom. You don't want to be calling the bottom, right away. So I'm not calling the bottom right now, but so far it looks pretty good. So on a smaller time frame here, you can see that it was channeling here for a while, for almost a week. Now it popped up, and you can see a better formation of a wave here. But this is what happened over here on a smaller time frame. On a smaller time frame, we had a lower low, and then we had a higher low and a higher high. So is this what's happening over here? So we have to be very careful of this little spot over here. So if it passes 7,700, I think it can go back up to like 8,400, but if it doesn't, I think it's going to go lower. So remember that the medium term and the short term trends are still negative. So this is why you have to be careful. If you're going to scale in a little bit smaller. Let's go with Ether. So Ether on a weekly basis looks pretty much like Bitcoin. It looks a little bit weak. We have a lower low, color change, confirmation to the downside. But the good thing though is that it bounced off of major support at 530. So if we look at this on a daily basis, right, you see it hit, right, 500 right on the dot, and it started to bounce back up. So this is a very good sign. So today will be very important on a daily basis if it makes a higher high, and that would be at 586. So 586 here is a green line, which is a medium-term resistance. So if it passes this one, it can go up to 650, back up again. So on a smaller time frame, on a swing, this also looks pretty good. This looks really good over here because of the fact that we had a color change to the downside, right, but there's no confirmation. So if it keeps on going a little bit higher, and if it breaks this 586 level, then it can go back up to 650 and then 715 to the top. Talk about EOS. So EOS on a weekly looks pretty weak, but we talked about this a little bit earlier, how it has to go below a major support here at 1230. It did cross it, but it never really closed below, so that's a very good sign. So on the dailies, we're right here at 1230. So it's been hovering here for a while. So it looks like there's a little bit of support, in this zone. So on a daily basis, if you look at EOS, it had a nice rise to the top. It's gone down. Long term still looks very good. But the problem here, though, is that because it went so high, 200 and all the other averages have a hard time keeping up with it. So the lows are pretty low. So if you look at it, the range in between, it could be squeezed between 880 and 1260 for a long period of time, just like it did over here. So when it's above the 50 EMA, it starts to rocket up higher. And then when it gets squeezed in between the 50 and the 200, it just goes sideways for a while, right? And that's what it might do over here as well. So until it passes the 1260 zone and then creates new highs, right? It looks like it might be channeling for a while. So let's look at our next one, which is Monero. Monero is something I looked at before. So I have a pretty good view of Monero. It's a relatively new coin. I did like it for a while, but then volume kind of thinned out. But now volume is coming back in. Right now, it's not looking that great. But the reason why I started looking at it is because fundamentally, these coins are pretty sound. There's so many coins out there. So Charlie did a very good job of researching the fundamentals, and we came up with a list of some smaller altcoins that we think might make it to the next group. Because that's what happened with EOS. Right, so EOS was one of the coins that we were following for a while, just on the side, and then it finally made it to the top 5, right? And so what we're looking for is which of the coins in a subset of like 10 coins can make it to the top 10, top 5, right? EOS was one of them because now Litecoin is slipping, Ripple is slipping, Bitcoin Cash might slip a little bit. So we're looking for ones that might go into the top 5. Monero might be one of those. So on a daily basis, Monero is looking pretty bad, but it hit a major support at 148. So at 148, it doesn't look so bad. It's bouncing off of it. On a shorter time frame, Monero is just channeling. If it makes a new higher high up here, it can go back up to the 170 range over here. So let's look at Icon. So Icon is a new one as well, so it's relatively fresh. So on a weekly, there isn't that much data. So it really looks like it's just channeling here. On a daily basis, though, it looks okay. It's bouncing off of medium-term support at 240. If it makes a higher high here, it can go back up to 350. So one of the reasons why we started looking at smaller coins is that the advice that we give, not advice, but the things that we do, right? Sometimes when we say things like scale in, scale out, take profits, on some of the bigger coins like Bitcoin, on Ether, and on Bitcoin Cash, because they don't go up that much. So if you scale in and it goes up 10, 15%, and then you scale out, you end up making about 9%. So people want to make more money, always, right? So where can we get a better value, better bang for the buck, right? And that's in some of the smaller coins, because then if it goes up 20, 30%, right, from a dip, then if you go with some of our strategies about scaling in, scaling out, you might be more willing to take a profit at 15, 20%. So if it only goes up 20%, and then you're trying to take profits at like 10 to 15%, sometimes you're like, oh man, you know what? I'll wait till it goes back up to 20%. But if you're at 25, 30%, and you're going to scale out at 20 to 25%, that might be a little bit more like psychologically, seems like a better fit. So that's why we started tracking some of the smaller altcoins. So here for Icon, it looks like it might bounce up off of the 240 range and off of a smaller time frame. It looks pretty good. So just like everything else, it came back up a couple days ago. And now, same thing here, right? We have a color change, but never confirmed. So we have a confirmation to the upside. If it breaks this 286 level, it can go back up to 350. Let's look at Enigma. So Enigma on a weekly, same thing, not too much, but on a daily, it was getting hurt. It hit major resistance at 311, came all the way back down. It's currently under 224, but there's no major support until 140, so it still has room to go to the downside, right? But it's just hovering over here. So if you look at it on a smaller time frame, on a swing, this looks like it might recover. Same type of situation here. We don't have a confirmation back to the downside, so we might have a a higher low. And if it confirms here up to the upside and passes 204, it can go back up to 224. And if it passes that, it can go back up to 311. So let's look at our last one, 0x. So 0x, same thing, right? Not too much of a long-term chart. So look at the dailies here. The dailies actually don't look that bad. For this one, it bounced off of 104, which is a major support, and it's been bouncing in and out of 104 and 145 on a smaller time frame, right? This one, you can see it's just channeling in between. So there are some opportunities over here, and once again, it never confirmed over here. If it confirms back up to the upside here, it can go up to 145, and if it does that, it can go back up to, clears that zone, it can go up to 205, 209, if it breaks this little channel over here. So with these coins, don't take larger positions. We're just going to go into not seed positions, but you want to have a nicer, rounder portfolio so you have a little bit more exposure to some of the upside. And one of the things that we're going to do with these altcoins as I track them is that I'm not going to be shorting them because it's harder because these things don't have that much liquidity. They don't have that much volume. So when I go into these positions, they're going to be either swing positions or investment grade positions. So position trading, not hodling, but more longer term. So the way I'm going to be trading this are swings and positions only going long, no shorts, because they don't have the volume and the liquidity to be able to go short. So this will be a little bit of a different type of trading scenario. So this will be a more well-rounded portfolio. So hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like our videos, please share it with your friends and other crypto traders. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Telegram. If you have any questions, please ask away in the comment section below. We do a very good job of answering all of our comments and questions right away. So in our next TA video, we're going to be adding 4 more smaller altcoins, because we do want to have a rounder portfolio. Because sometimes, when we focus too much on the larger ones, it takes away from what you really should be doing as an investor, right? If you're going to be position trading, you can't just position trade just only on Bitcoin, because then you're missing out on some of the larger opportunities. That's what we'll be talking about in the next few weeks. So we're going to be adding 4 more coins next week. And then from that, we're going to do a portfolio of a couple of the top tiers, right? So we're going to go tier 1, which would be like a Bitcoin, Ether, EOS, tier 2, which would be like Monero, Icon, Enigma, and then some smaller coins, right, that you may not have heard of, or maybe that you probably have heard of, but that we think that in the long term might be a viable opportunity to be able to trade and hold for a longer period of time. Thank you again for watching, and see you in our next video.